Alright, hi all you cool cats and kittens, it's Brad again. This time the backdrop is real. This is a real backyard right in back of me. I'm staying at my girlfriend's house, and the deal here is that her parents have a house, like a real house, and then it's got this apartment attached to it with a separate entrance, and that's where she lives. So her parents have a backyard, and I talked to her dad about using the backyard to make videos in, and he said okay, so here I am making a video in my girlfriend's parents' backyard. The question came up during the talk that I gave at the Angel City Zen Center, or the Zoom Angel City Zen Center, on Monday, about what can we do. And I think it's a good question because everybody's kind of wondering what they can do right now. As human beings, as social animals, we have a natural concern for others of our species, and we're going to try to do whatever we can. And this current situation that we're facing right now is totally unnatural for us. We're not used to it. It's sort of like if you went to like an ant mound and said, hey, all you ants, we're going to ask you to just separate yourselves apart and just do your own thing for a while and, work from home. I don't know if ants could work from home, but it's like asking ants to work from home or to not socialize or to not be around each other. I think there's two issues. There is the issue of there's only so much you can do, and there's the issue of finding out what that thing is that you can do. In regards to the only so much you can do part, it's something I kind of mentioned as early on in my writings as in Hardcore Zen. You're inundated with a lot of the problems of the world. As a modern person, you're getting all kinds of information from everywhere, and there's only a limited amount of stuff you can have an effect on. So you have to kind of be aware of that, and be aware that it's not the same as complacency to just realize that there are problems that are outside of your control and therefore not worth worrying all that much about. And as far as finding out what it is you can do, that I think is important. Because last night I was up late at night trying to sleep and having the usual ruminations going on in my head of, what can I do? How can I save the world? How can I, invent a new vaccine or some cure for this or something like that? But I don't have that power. I don't. I can't make that happen. I can't make the politicians of the world change their policies towards it. I can't make the people who are breaking the stay-at-home orders follow the stay-at-home orders. There's not a whole lot that I can do in that regard. But what I can do is keep on doing what I'm doing right now. I'm making these videos, I am sharing information when I can find it, and I'm finding my role in this new and weird world. One of the things Nishijima Roshi always used to say is just follow circumstances. And I always had trouble with that because it's a strange phrase to begin with, because his English was kind of odd and quirky. But also, what does that mean, follow circumstances? And I take it to mean that life kind of places you in situations which are partly the result of your own doing, your own choices in the world, and partly the result of a lot of things you can't really, at least directly change, like where you were born, what race you are, what language you grew up speaking, and so forth and so on, and where you live, and all that other stuff. And you see the situation that all of that puts you in, and then act. And in my own case, like I said, it's what I can do is to make these videos and to write some blogs and to share information when I can and to try to help in that way. And that's what I kind of decided to do last night. It's funny because things aren't the way I would have wanted them to be. I've mentioned this on this video channel before about my life in general. Like, I never intended to end up as a professional writer about Buddhism. I did want to be a professional writer, but I didn't imagine I was going to write books about Buddhism, and I certainly didn't imagine I was going to have a YouTube channel, because when I was a young lad, there was no such thing as YouTube. You could be like Wayne's World and go on public access cable TV or something, but there was no YouTube. And this is kind of wonderful what's happening here. And my own response to all of this stuff that's going on is that I think we really don't know what it is. And I've been watching the reports. I watched the very shocking report this morning that President Trump announced 100,000 to 240,000 deaths are possible. It was hinted at the day before yesterday, I guess, and then this morning it finally, came out officially. And that's shocking stuff. But I'm also looking into how such data is compiled, and I realize that the data is the best guesses of a lot of smart people, but it's flawed, and we don't know what's really going on. So all we can do is accord with circumstances. So there's a stay-at-home order, safer at home, I think is what they're calling it here in Los Angeles, and I'm abiding by that, and I'm washing my hands like crazy. I've learned to use moisturizer so they aren't so red and cracked as they were the first couple of weeks. But as I said before, I counted. I think I'm washing my hands between 10 and 15 times a day, and even now, just because I've been outside, I'm going to go wash my hands as soon as I go inside, even though there's not a trace of coronavirus on this patio, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm into the habit. I'm not touching my face and all this stuff. So you do that. You set a good example for whoever you can. You talk to people as much as you can. You care for your children and your relatives, and you try to keep them safe, and we just try to muddle along as best we can. I don't know when the world will be back to normal. I don't know if it'll ever be back to the sort of normal we had before. I hope we can resolve this. I hope sensible heads prevail, and I hope things can get back on track in some regard. But I don't know. I see a lot of weird division going on, and politicizing, and even your response to the current pandemic is a political issue, and it shouldn't be. We should all be in this together, and we should all be trying to make it as good as we possibly can for everybody who's got to endure it. And we've really got some tough stuff ahead of us, I think, but I believe that we're going to make it through. I really do. So there you go. That's my 2 cents, as they say. So I hope you enjoyed that. As I always feel obligated to say, because I have to, my Patreon and PayPal links are below, and if you don't feel like you want to contribute because things are tight where you are, I know a lot of people out of work and so forth, don't worry about me. But for all those people who are still contributing, that's really nice, and that's great, because that means I'm doing something, I suppose. Everybody be safe and wash your hands and stay at home, and we'll talk to you next time. Cool cats and kittens.